Hey everyone, my name is Emily Jackson from Great Family Adventure, and today I'm going to be talking to you about me, myself, getting out without the family on an adventure. Usually our mission is to help share, getting the entire family out on different adventures to help inspire and empower you to do the same. But this time it's a little different. It was just me going out on an adventure with 3 of my closest lady friends. Every once in a while when deciding which adventure to do next with the kids, I like to put my toes in the water myself beforehand. So if I have an opportunity to go do an adventure with some of my friends solo while Nick's at home with the kid, I try to do one a year, one every other year, just so that way I can kind of check something out or just have that time for me to be with myself and my own thoughts out in the outdoors. So it's really empowering for me to remember what it is about being outside and focusing on myself instead of focusing on taking care of my children and my husband during our time in the outdoors. Now, the biggest thing that it also reminds me of is that I have so much more fun when it's with them, but it also set me up to think about, hey, I think there's some things that we could do here with the kids. Whereas if I don't go on these adventures ever, then I'm a little bit more narrow-minded as to what I can take the kids to go do. My friend Kathy invited me to do segment 7 of the Florida Circumnavigational Saltwater Trail. That's a mouthful, I know. I let the planning all to her, figure out where we're going. I give her a period of time, the total distance that I think we can do. She's pretty good about figuring that out as well. And then from there, we just started making a plan. So together, we knew that we were going to be needing sea kayaks for this trip. We decided to take the Jackson Kayak Journey. It's a great boat because it has hatches where we can put all of our equipment inside. So we'd be living out of our kayaks for multiple days while paddling a section of saltwater through the coast of Florida. And the part that's really cool about this is the section that we go through is called like the 10,000 Islands. There's just islands everywhere. So we're going to be navigating, being inward away from the ocean break, from the Gulf of Mexico. But at the same time, we're actually able to camp as we go along. And in this case, even find a hotel as we come in closer to the mainland. So this adventure with Kathy is something that she had been talking about doing one for a little while, but the timing just wasn't working out. So I told her, these are my dates. This is how far I think we can drive, to get there. This is the time frame. Just come up with a plan and let's do it. Usually a big part of getting frozen in an adventure is feeling like you have to figure everything out. So my job was to make sure that we had the right kayaks and the paddles and the time frame, like the window that we could go. Kathy's job was to figure out where we were going to go and how far we were going to paddle. And then from there, we decided who else can come out on our adventure. So we invited my mom because we knew that the kayaking itself was going to be easier if we were out in big break or if the water was more aggressive. My mom would not have fun. So knowing that this was going to be mostly flat water-like conditions, we got to invite my mom, which just makes the trip so much better. And then on top of that, we found out that this period of time that I booked was my Aunt Jessie's birthday. So it turned into a birthday trip for her as well. So the 4 of us, each kind of owning our own little segment on this adventure, decided to, commit was the first thing. No one wants to do all the work and then have someone back out. So really think about who you're inviting and who, when they say they're coming, is fully committed.
The first one is the medical professional. So I know that my life at any point is in good hands. The navigator, I think she makes up half of it, but that's true. Generally we know which direction to go. And the one who really loves food, because somehow it's a very important aspect of the trip.
Once we had our crew and I had the kayaks planned, my mom had the driving planned, and Kathy and Jessie had their flights booked. From there was figuring out, okay, here's the segment, here's what we're doing, how many miles is reasonable throughout the day. And so for us, we ended up deciding that we could handle about a 60-mile stretch over the course of 5 days, which was going to be about 12 miles a day. Not a big deal, totally capable. But things changed quickly. And this is part of adventure. Like I said, you're part of a bigger environment. You're not fully in control of everything. And that's why it can be so fun and how you learn so much about yourself. in these scenarios. As a group, we learned that all of us are really flexible and that we really enjoy just being together and making sure that we're safe and happy and well fed. So that's one of the things that we learned for our group, that we do not sacrifice on chocolate or goodies, because without that, the trip could have been a whole lot more dramatic. Day one of the trip went super smoothly. We had a little bit of a late start because I had some work meetings that I was going to attend to in the morning.
Sun shining, and yeah, I think we're all ready. We're all a little ready to get onto the water at this point, but just excited that we're here, and yeah, ready to go.
Luckily, we booked a hotel that was right on the water. Kathy and her friend went and set shuttle with our truck, so they drove down to where we were taking out, about 60 miles down the coast, and then a friend drove her back up to the hotel, and we were committed. Our truck and everything was waiting for us at the finish line, and off we were going to go. Within the first few minutes, we were watching manatees swimming around in the springs, and it was unbelievable. It was a great reminder of just that we're getting outside, we're doing it, we're here, and this was like a present, a thank you for just getting outside and deciding to commit to this adventure. Within the bay that we were at, Kings Bay, there was a few different springs there already. There's three sister springs and a few others. And in Florida, the springs are absolutely gorgeous. They're bright turquoise blue water, and it's actually always quite warm. So even if the temperature was colder, that water still stays quite warm, and that's why the manatees come in, because that spring is whatever you call it, thermal water. That spring's always releasing warmer water, so the manatees come in from the colder climate to come and enjoy that warmth from the spring. We were just enjoying the sheer beauty of the color. There's really nothing quite like it. After we hung out around the spring for a little bit on the first day, we decided to start trekking to find our first campground, which was Tom's Cabin Island. Don't be confused, there's no cabin whatsoever. It was a solid trek, but we ended up paddling straight into the sunset. Beautiful day. It took a little bit of getting used to the navigation because there's a lot of little islands. So if you turn a little early or a little late, it gets confusing quickly. Luckily, we had navigation apps on our phones called Savvy Navi, which allowed us to see water navigation points, and we can kind of track using our GPS where we were and where we were trying to go. Arriving to Tom's cabin was fantastic. We were all pretty beat from the day and just really excited to have our first day of camping outside together. We had a great meal of backpackers food. Everyone boiled our water. We had chocolate. We had appetizers, even a few of Mom's famous super easy margaritas, and it made a perfect night out under the stars with me and some of my closest family and friends. The next day, we started getting texts that there might be some incoming weather. We weren't really sure how it was gonna affect our day, but we did notice that even throughout that day, the waves were a little choppier, even though we were inland, so the wind was picking up, and we were starting to pay closer attention to what was happening. That second day, we knew that we were paddling into a hotel, so we were gonna keep going until we got a boat ramp and into a hotel where we could figure out what's going on with the weather, what's gonna happen, and just kind of take it as it goes. So we ended up arriving at the hotel pretty early, which was great because some weather did blow in and it was quite wet and windy, but nothing we couldn't handle.
We are in Homosassa Springs. Not really sure, still can't say the name. But we paddled here on day 2. We got ourselves a hotel at the original Floridian. I think it's actually called the Florida Cracker. Not sure why it's called that. But the cool thing is we got to paddle right here, and it's actually perfect timing because there is someone joining the group named Nicole. But Nicole's not a person, Nicole is a hurricane. So I guess we might be facing some bad weather. So we're kind of hanging tight in our hotel for the evening. This is the only night that we were planning on getting lodging for our adventure. And yeah, pretty unsure as to what tomorrow will bring because of the hurricane. But we're just gonna eat some dinner here, relax, enjoy the view, kind of make a plan in the morning because a lot happens with weather. So no point in planning too far in advance. Just go with it, go enjoy some dinner. And then yeah, wake up in the morning and see what we're gonna have to do next.
Physically a little sore and tired from the paddle, but just stoked to be at a restaurant on a pier and just enjoying girls' night out together. That night we started getting texts that a hurricane was coming in, and we went and asked the people at the hotel, so like, this hurricane that's coming in, what does that do to the surge? Because we're pretty inland. So as far as the Gulf of Mexico coming up, we were curious how much that surge was going to affect us being this far in. Sure enough, they said the bottom floor of the hotel is probably going to be underwater within 48 hours. Getting information like that when you're in the middle of an adventure and do not have access to your car is enough to stress you out a little bit, but thank God for things like Uber, right? So we literally, had a quick group chat and this means if the surge is that high, that one, all of our campgrounds from here on out are going to be underwater, and two, we're really putting ourselves out there to be in a unsafe environment. And for all of us, that wasn't worth it. And we're talking about a hurricane. We're not talking about a little storm or, this is a big deal. So we quickly pivoted the entire trip and decided to go and get the car via Uber, while Jesse and we repacked all the boats and we went for a walk. My mom and Kathy, they went and got the truck, and we were making a quick hustle to figure out what we were going to do next. For us, this is a bit of a bummer because a big part of the trip is the physicality of it. Kathy and I and my mom and Jesse just love pushing ourselves physically to do these things, but there is a limit to that. And luckily, all of us understood. We knew that we were bummed about it, but what are you going to do? The hurricane could be a very serious matter. So we just decided, we need to get back to our families and we need to get away from Florida right now. So we packed up. We knew we had about 40 hours until there was going to be anything in our area that could potentially affect us. So on our way back up, we went and stopped at Homosassa Springs, which again is another beautiful springs here in Florida. Due to the hurricane, the park itself was actually closed, but the lower boat ramps all along the spring was open. So we went ahead and parked and we paddled upstream into the spring, and then we jumped out of our boats and snorkeled the whole way back. For me, this was just a great opportunity and example of, making lemonade out of lemons. We had this scenario that's not ideal, a storm coming in, our whole trip, had been pretty much not canceled, but 50% of it was just going away. And while we were all bummed, we knew, there's still some cool things we can do. It's different, but let's just go with it. So we had a great day of snorkeling, and then we hopped in the car and started heading out of Florida and back up into Georgia and Tennessee, where we knew we'd be safe away from the storm. On the way, we made sure to get some great sushi for dinner, and then we went into a spa the next day because we were all tired, a little run down. Why not just go to a spa? So we went to actually a Korean spa, which was very different than anything any of us had been to. So it added a whole nother element of adventure for us. We were very confused about which rooms you were supposed to be naked in and which rooms you were not supposed to be naked in. And the whole experience was definitely very humorous and very fun. And I was just so grateful that I got to spend this time with 3 beautiful ladies and just take life as it comes at me. So again, what an awesome opportunity to be dealt a bad hand and make the most out of it. So I am incredibly blessed that I'm surrounded by such powerful women who could have whined or could have, used that opportunity to whine me, this sucks, is definitely something that was the vibe that we definitely could have given off. But instead, we were just like, okay, storm, let's do this. Let's go eat really good sushi. Let's go snorkeling. Let's do this. Let's just make the most out of this opportunity. And that's what we did. And so for me, that's what adventure is about. It's about getting outside and seeing what working with a much larger environment can do or what it teaches you. And this particular trip for me really taught me that surrounding yourself with people who look at the glass half full is definitely something that could really affect your overall mood and how you approach life. So that trip, I wouldn't have changed anything. Would I have liked to paddle the entirety of segment 7 of the Florida Trail that we were doing? Yes, that would have been awesome. But would I have missed out on the opportunity to watch us all super awkward at the Korean spa and ate some of the best sushi I've ever had? It was some of my favorite people. Probably not also. So always remember that when you're out on adventure, it's much bigger picture. Some things aren't going to go as planned, but just remember what brings you there in the first place. And that's to enjoy getting outside and doing fun things with the people that you care about most. So definitely check out going to do some long distance paddles with a few close friends, or if you're not sure if that's your kind of adventure, then definitely be sure to check out a Korean spa sometime. So that's it for me on my recent journey in Florida. And I really hope you guys, take the opportunity to get outside with those you love. And yeah, happy paddling.